Hey BookTube, this is Fredy Reads. I'm Jen and I talk about audiobooks, and this week, oh my gosh, the fantastic reads that I had. Seriously, a couple of 5 stars. So let me just jump in and tell you all about them. First up is About That Kiss. This is the 5th book in the Heartbreaker Bay series by Jill Shalvis, narrated by Karen White. Karen White just gets Jill Shalvis. She does pretty much all of her books at this point, and she's always fantastic. She always captures it just perfectly. Her characterizations are wonderful, and the way that she'll phrase something is exactly the way that you can imagine the guy would have said it. Especially guys. That's the thing about Jill Shalvis. She does male banter really, really well. Like, guys just giving each other all kinds of crap, you know? The story was pretty good. A little bit of suspense in it. The thing I liked about this particular story was that the whole hate to love thing wasn't drawn out to the very end. You know, a lot of times in the hate to love romances, what'll happen is you have one of the characters who's just not sure, second guessing. And, you know, I can do with a little bit of that, but I get really tired of it when it gets drawn out until the last, 95% of the book, and then they come to their senses. I hate that. That didn't happen here. It happened about 75% of the way through. One of these characters was not going to give up. She was going to hang in there. So I really appreciated that. So I ended up giving it 3.5 stars, but I rounded it up to 4 because Jill Shalvis, Karen White. What else can I say? I tried a Christian romance. I really did. I thought, okay, it's time. So I picked up Angels Walking by Karen Kingsbury. On audio, this is narrated not really from 2 points of view, but by 2 narrators who are Kirby Heyborne and January LaVoy. Kirby Heyborne and January LaVoy. Could you get better narrators? Really, seriously, could you get better? No, I don't think so. These 2 were perfect. They're seasoned narrators. They know what they're doing. They know how to capture the characters. They just know how to do it. And so they do it really, really well. They've both been doing it a long time. Kirby Heyborne is actually an improv actor. But because of that, and because he's done it a long time, he's just a really good voice actor. And January LaVoy, she was amazing. She just was amazing. Actually, they were both amazing. So, boy, I can't rave enough about the narration. It was really good. Probably influenced my opinion of the book in a very positive way. And I thought, okay, angels. I like angel books. But this really didn't have very much to do with angels. There were a couple of angels in it, but this really came at it from a Christian perspective. And I really want to talk about that in depth in a separate video. I want to tell you about where I'm coming from when I rate these books and how that affects my enjoyment of it. The idea that it's Christian fiction. But I'll tell you, I gave this 3.5 stars. I did round it up to 4. I do want to read the second one, although the reviews are iffy on it. You know, some of the people who've reviewed it have said, I don't like the way that she took this character, and it's one of the secondary characters. So, I don't know. I guess I'll draw my own conclusions, but I am interested in continuing with the series. Then I started picking up books that are on my shelves, because why are these books on my shelves if I'm not going to read them? So one was A Man Called Uva. This is by Frederik Backman, who is Swedish, and this was translated by, I don't think this says here on the book, so I will put it here on the screen because the translator is the reason that we can all read it in English and love it as much as we did. And on audio, it is narrated by George Newbern. Fantastically. Oh my gosh, the narration could not have been better. This was the absolute perfect narrator for this book. He got it. He captured Uva every possible way that you could. Just impeccable. So if you can listen to this on audio, I think that it will really, really enhance your enjoyment of the book. The book, everybody loves this book, and for good reason. I have only read one other Frederik Backman book, and it was a very serious book called Beartown. This was completely the opposite. This is the story of Uwe. The whole first part of the book is kind of his diatribe on what's wrong with the world, and I was falling down laughing. I seriously was falling down laughing at this book. And the thing about Uwe is that for as much as he complains, he has this conscience where he just, even when he's so irritated and you expect that he's just going to walk away and leave these people to their own devices. No, he'll say, ugh, just let me do it, because if you do it, you're going to make a complete mess of it. I'm not happy about this, but he does it. So that's the endearing thing. Backman has written a character here that just you will fall in love with. I heard that before I read the book, and I thought, okay. And it's so true, so true. I have to tell you, because I am a seamstress, and I have been since I was 9 years old, so I sew clothes. And one of the things that Uwe makes a comment about is this couple who are driving, who own kind of like a Prius. It's a little hybrid car, and it's small, and you know, Uwe has no use for that at all. And at one point, he's in a conversation with the woman who lives next door, and he says, well, what about that little sewing machine you've pulled up in? I thought I was going to die laughing. Oh my gosh, there's so many great quotes from this book that I could read to you, but I think you should discover those on your own. So please pick this book up, and especially on audio if you can, because oh my gosh, it's so good. So good, 5 stars. Yeah, like there was going to be any question about that. I have been meaning to read this. This is The Lifeguard by Deborah Blumenthal, and I had a friend send me an autographed copy of this, which you know how I am about an autographed copy. I'm all about that. So this was not what I expected. It's I think categorized as YA contemporary romance, but it really goes beyond that into, I would call it magical realism. I think some people would call it paranormal, but I call it magical realism. And I really liked that aspect of it. It's all about a girl who lives in Texas, and her parents are getting divorced, and where she would normally go to camp through the summer with her best friend, they send her to Delaware to live with her aunt who lives on the beach. And so it's all about her experiences there at the beach, this girl. So the lifeguard looks exactly like this in the book, which I always appreciate that. And I mean, come on, it's the beach and a cute guy. So seriously, how was I gonna pass this up? So I liked it a lot. I really did. I think it's an interesting book where you go in expecting one thing and you come out, I think some people would come out going, that wasn't what I expected, no. And I came out thinking, that wasn't what I expected, but I think I liked it. I liked that it was a little bit unexpected. So anyway, I'll leave it at that, because the elements of the plot are kind of mysterious and they unfold little by little, not in an irritating way, but in an appropriate way. And it furthers the plot along, and I liked it. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I did round it up to 4. I have the Audible romance add-on subscription to my regular Audible subscription. So I pulled one book off of that, and it was Say You'll Stay by Corinne Michaels. This is narrated on audio by Andi, Arndt, and Sebastian York. I like Andi Arndt a lot. I don't always love her for every book, but I think I'm kind of familiar with her as a person. She's a swim mom, she is active on Twitter, and so I've kind of had maybe 1 or 2 exchanges with her on Twitter, and I really like her. I think she's a great person. So that's going to color my opinion of her narration. I think some people would find her kind of flat, but I don't find her that way. I think she's got a specific style, and her voice sounds a specific way, as all of our voices do. So she was good. She was really good. I think she got it. She got the fire and spit of this main character, and I liked that. I like that a lot. Sebastian York, I didn't hear very much of him, but what I did hear I liked. And that is saying a lot because I have listened to a lot of books that he has narrated and thought, no, I don't like the way he narrates, and I have avoided him. So I wasn't sure, but I liked him in this one. I really did. He has a very low voice, and so I don't know. He has one of those voices that I think a lot of women who listen to romance think, oh, you know, he's so dreamy. I've never thought that. No, but he is pleasant to listen to. It's clear that he is a seasoned romance narrator. So the story was pretty good. It is a second chance romance, so I probably don't need to tell you more than that, but I will say this. It's set in Tennessee, and when I think of Tennessee, I think of East Tennessee and the middle, like from Nashville going east, and the far east part of Tennessee. I have some friends that have lived there and are from there, and so that's in the Appalachian Mountains. So when I think of Tennessee, I think of that. Well, this takes place on a horse ranch in Tennessee, and it took me a little bit to figure out that's West Tennessee. Everything that's kind of west of Nashville over borders on Kentucky, and that is horse country. So it's kind of the bluegrass area. So once I figured that out, it made a lot more sense. I have read the second book in the series, and I liked it too, but I think I liked it better. But this was still good. If you like romance, it's about a 3-star read. I gave it 3 stars. And then to finish out the week, I picked up Artemis. This is by Andi Weir, and on audio, this is narrated by Rosario Dawson brilliantly. I loved her narration so much. I loved it. She completely captured the main character, whose name is Jazz. And oh my gosh, I loved this book. I really did. Jazz is not a very likable character, but Rosario Dawson, for me, kind of endeared her to me. You know, I think that she just got it. She just got it. And she's an incredible actor anyway. And I think she did a really brief YouTube video talking about the character and how much she enjoyed narrating this book. And it was pretty hyped when it came out on audio. So, Artemis is the name of a town on the moon, and I kind of felt like this was an Old West story set on the moon, which I thought was great. It does have that Old West feel because there's a sheriff and there aren't a lot of laws, but if you do something that people don't approve of, you're going to pay for it. So there's some of that going on. Jazz is the main character. She gets herself in a lot of trouble. She's very clever. She's very smart, and she has squandered that. And she knows that, but she's okay with that. She just wants to get out of her circumstances, and so she's into making money. So she does smuggling, and she does some not so legal things. But ultimately, she gets hired to do a job, and it's all about all the ways that it goes wrong and all the ways that it goes sideways, little plot twists in there, little ways that you think she is never getting out of this, and yet she does because she's smart. So a little bit of science, which I really liked. It had more to do with chemistry, like the way things will catch fire on the moon or in a vacuum in space and other things like that. And I have to tell you, there's a scene where the sheriff has Jazz and a guy who has double-crossed Jazz and some other people. He's caught them and put them in handcuffs, and they're sitting and he's interrogating them. And they start arguing. And so he takes out a spray bottle and he squirts them. He squirts them in the face like you would a puppy that you're training. Oh my gosh. And so Jazz gets really irritated and she's like, ugh. And then she says something like another smartass remark to the guy, and he starts arguing again, and the guy pulls out the squirt gun again, and they both shut up. Oh man, I thought that was hilarious. I loved this book. I really did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know it's not for everybody, and I think a lot of people thought it was going to be The Martian 2.0, and it is completely not that. You cannot go in expecting to enjoy this book if that is your preconception. It's not that at all. It's really fun. So if you realize that going in, you have you don't have that expectation that it's going to be The Martian or Mark Watney. And when you get the humor, you're not going to equate it with the humor of Mark Watney, who was desperately trying to save his own life, whereas Jazz is just getting in trouble all the time and commenting on her circumstances. So great cast of secondary characters, and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. This weekend, I am listening to Invictus. This is by Ryan Graudin, and on audio, it is narrated by Maxwell Hamilton. So far, so good. I really like this. It's all about time travel, and it starts out in the, I want to say 95 AD. Gladiator is in Rome at the Colosseum and all that. And there's a guy who is born out of time. His mother goes into labor while they're in the ship traveling back to the present time, but he's born on the ship while they're in transit, like before they get there. So he has no birthday. I'm not very far in. I'm maybe an hour to an hour and a half in, but I love it so far. And this was sent to me this Christmas by Karen, my friend in Scottsdale. I'm pretty sure it's YA, and it's sci-fi because it's time travel. On my iPad, I am reading Golden, which is the 3rd book in the Heart of Dread trilogy by Melissa de la Cruz and Michael Johnston. The first 2 books in the series are Frozen and Stolen, and those 2 are on audio, and I really liked them on audio. Dan Bittner is one of the narrators, and I loved him. And I love him anyway. I love his narration. I always enjoy it. And I forget who the female narrator was, but I'll put it here on the screen. But I can tell you that she was fairly seasoned, and I liked her. I liked her narration. So I wish this one was on audio. It's not. So I have to read it on my iPad, which I hate it. I hate it, hate it, hate it when that happens. It's not a trilogy that has sold really well. So what the publishers do is they put the first couple of books on audio and then they just quit. It drives me crazy. It really drives me crazy. It's just not right. It does the author no favors. The narrators certainly get shafted. And, you know, so do we as readers, as listeners. So anyway, I'm reading that on my iPad. It's set in the future, and it's one of those odd pairings. It's got that magical element and the whole, you know, dragons and flying sylphs and things like that. And then it's got a frozen Earth set in the future where you have tanks and artillery and people shooting weapons at these sylphs. It's weird. It's so weird. It's like, what? So yeah, I'm kind of sticking with it because I want to finish the trilogy. I like the main characters, Nat and Wes. So I don't know. We'll see how this goes. So I'm halfway through that, and I'll probably be able to finish that either tonight or tomorrow, hopefully. And then because I want to keep reading things that are on my little, on my desk in there, I picked up The Anatomical Shape of a Heart by Jenn Bennett. I love Jenn Bennett. Or I have loved other things that she has written. So I haven't really gotten into it yet, so I don't know more than that it's not what I expected it was going to be when I read the synopsis. So pretty sure it's about graffiti and people that paint things on walls. So yeah, I'll keep you posted. That is my weekend and my week last week. Let me know what you're reading. You know, I always love hearing from you. I always go and look up whatever it is that you're reading. So let me know what you're reading and have a wonderful weekend. It is beautiful here, but it's freezing cold. So yeah, someday I'm going to move out of this. Someday. So have a great weekend, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.